I got the honor of introducing the new issues panel, or at this point, maybe it's called the issues system. So if you work with toddle for a while, you might be familiar with this little icon here, this little dot. It means that you have some kind of issues in your component on your app that you should probably fix. The reason it's called the issues system now, with the lack of a better word, is that these issues doesn't only live in this panel now, they also live inside the editor, more visual. So they'll actually show wherever there is an issue, you will get this little icon. So if I hover over them, you can see there's a description and that kind of suggestion of what to do to fix it. So right now I'm looking at a project we have. This is basically the toddle website. And we have 3 issues on this component. We have 21 in total. So I think the best way to show how this works is actually to go through like a normal workflow. How do we handle this? So we get a pretty good overview here. We even get some information about how to fix some of them, like a link that you can read more about it. So the first 2 are kind of similar, but actually not entirely the same. Let's take it over here. This one says, link icon is set, but never used by any formula considered. So this means that we have this variable, someone added it, but maybe the specification changed, or maybe it's copied from somewhere else. No matter what, it's not used anywhere. So it exists, it has a default value of false, but nothing in this component actually uses this value. So it should be completely okay to delete it. So let's just go ahead, and we can see now that our issues are down to 2. The next one, it's a little bit similar. Hide editor is never triggered. Consider removing it and cleaning up any usages. So in this case, a little bit different. This event might be used outside. This particular component is exported in this package. So it's a package. Anyone might depend on this, and someone might actually have set up something in response to when this happened. The thing is that this will never actually happen, because the triggering of the event itself, no one does that in this component. There's no events that actually triggers this event. So again, it's safe to remove. There's no reason to have it if it's never being triggered. It's just going to confuse. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that as well. Then we have another one. This happens on an element, and this is on an image. It says image element should have explicit width and height to prevent layout shift. Learn more. So there's actually some information we can take to learn more about it. But I already kind of know what this means. A layout shift is when you're usually doing load time of a page. If some elements take longer to load or something happens, they might change their height, which the block dimension will change, which will push other elements down. So in this case, I can see it actually has a width, but no height. So this entire thing right here, when this page loads, the height of this one is kind of around it actually has explicit width, but not explicit height. This will be 0 height because the image is not loaded. And when it loads and the browser gets the data from the image, it will then apply the right correct dimensions. But this happens after a delay because image data is loaded asynchronously. And that'll push it down. Anything below this will also be pushed down. That's called a layout shift, which can be quite heavy for a browser. So it takes a lot of, the browser spent a lot of time building up the document. And now it has to do it again, at least for everything below it. It has to recalculate everything. And on top of that, as a user, you might notice that the entire page jumps. You see some title on top, and then something loads and is getting pushed down. Suddenly, it's quite ugly, and it's bad for performance of the page. So I think this kind of issue is actually it's considered a performance type of issue. So you should definitely fix those. It's a warning because sometimes I guess you don't know the exact dimension of an image. In that case, you should still try to give it something. Anything is fine. In this case, it looks like it's a square image. I'm just going to go ahead and put 24 pixels. So now when the page loads, this is going to be 24 pixels even before the image is loaded. And then when it's loaded, it's just going to stick to this size. So I think that was the last issue on this page. We still have 18 more around the app. I can just go around it and fix a few more. This one is interesting. It says the component is never used. So we have this entire component. It's not exported, so no one can use it as a packet, and nothing, no other component or pages use this one. That means we can actually delete the entire component. There's no reason to have this one, unless someone has it temporarily, they plan to use it. But in that case, they will have to go back to an old branch and find it. I'm not gonna not clean up just in case. So I'm just gonna delete it. That's another one fixed. And we can go around and do the same thing. This one has a variable that's never used. So let's just remove that as well. It even has the button. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see, what did it say? It actually doesn't say that it's not used. It says it's set, but never used. So that's still an issue. So this issues, we have about 50 rules. Some of them are quite clever. So in this case, the variable is actually, it's not being used, but it's being set. So we have multiple places to set it, but if you never use a variable, it doesn't matter how many times you set it. If you never actually use the value, it doesn't make sense. So this is one issue, but when I delete it, you actually get new issues. It kind of leads you down the path of what to fix. It. Say, oh, now we delete it, but now we get a new issue. It says, it's trying to set this one on the mouse out, and it doesn't exist. Now it says it doesn't exist. Make sure to define it. It's still, since we're never using it, again, it's safe to delete it. I'm not going to need this one, so we can start to clean up a lot here. And it's probably the same here. Right? Doesn't exist. Just remove it, and now it's fine. So because we're never using it, there's no reason to have it around. Doesn't matter how many times we set it if we don't use it. So now to 16. That's really good. So after this video, I'm going to go ahead and clean up everything. Again, we have about 50 rules. If they are errors, you should definitely fix them right away. If they're warnings, you should consider fixing it when you have some time. And info is just is things you usually just completely okay to do, but usually something you do under development, not something you want to push to production. So it's more like information to you, something you might forget. For example, if you have a console lock, a lock to console action, it will be so if I add a workflow, and inside here we lock to console, this is by default flagged as an info kind of issue. So it just says it's designed as a debug action. They should just remove it before version main. It's not important. If you forget to do it, it's okay. You can do it a little bit later when you in the next branch. But once in a while, please check this one. If you see a little icon around, it's more certain this one is actually not it doesn't complain about the lock to console. It actually complains that the workflow itself just created this workflow. It's never used by anyone. So that's a bit more serious than a lock to console. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this one. That's the new issue system. It's been around for a while. We improved it a lot lately. You have all this severity level you can sort on. You can sort on the different categories here. You will get many more categories if you have different kinds of issues. So I think there's 8 categories and 50 plus types of issues you can find. Keep an eye out for it. It will make your app perform better. It's going to make it more maintainable, simpler. And writers, if you have any good ideas for new issues, we are constantly expanding this system, and we use it a lot internally, a ton actually. So it really helps us clean up the toddle editor itself. We have, I don't want to say how many issues we have, but it's going down, sometimes up, depending on when we add new issues, it goes up, and then we try to fix them. So I'm not going to say exactly how many we have, but it's probably more than you have in your project. But we're getting there. Okay, that's it. We are very excited to roll this out and get some feedback on it. I know it looks a bit ugly once in a while when we have this icon in the app, but it means that you should definitely consider fixing these things. So in this case, these errors, here it's an attribute that does not exist, and if you try to access an attribute that doesn't exist, it's always going to give you null, and that's most likely not what you want. So in this case, this initial value doesn't make sense because you're converting a value is always undefined to or null to a boolean, which always give you false. So that's an error. That's not a warning. That's something that obviously went very wrong. Someone copied something over they shouldn't have, or deleted something. Yes. Okay. Good luck fixing your issues around your project. It's ongoing work, but it's a great idea. It keeps your app more performant and more stable. All right. See you.